In the fourth MCQ, an experiment is done to determine the rate of reaction of an ester with sodium hydroxide. Now the samples are taken out at intervals and titrated against hydrochloric acid in an attempt to find out the amount of sodium hydroxide that's left behind. Now at any one point in the reaction, assuming that the reaction is yet to be completed, what should have been found inside the flask will include the leftover sodium hydroxide that has yet to be fully used. We are also having leftover esters, which in this case here, this is a 2-carbon carboxylic acid and a 2-carbon alcohol. We call this as your ethyl ethanoate, with the formula that the question has suggested to be at a CH3, CO2, C2, H5. Now we are also looking at the products of the reaction, which in this case here is a sodium salt of your ethanoic acid. We call this as your sodium ethanoate. Coming with the formula of a CH3, CO2, Na, and finally we have ethanol as a leftover. Now in order to take out a fixed amount of the product at every interval, it's necessary for us to employ the usage of a pipette, which can accurately dispense 25 cm³ into another conical flask. So this conical flask will always have 25 cm³ from each interval that's being removed, and we are actually interested in looking out for the leftover sodium hydroxide. And the question I mentioned that is the usage of HCl to determine the amount of NaOH. So HCl will be placed above in a burette, and it will be used to titrate with your sodium hydroxide. Now I believe that as the experiment will go through, at each of the later intervals, the amount of HCl required to fully neutralize the sodium hydroxide in the 25 cm³ sample will become lesser because NaOH would have been used to react with the ester. So for this question here, the required tool set would have been the usage of a pipette as well as the usage of a burette itself. So the question answer will actually be D.